If you spent any time at all on my channel, you will clearly see that my main love in video gaming is the Suikoden series. I own physical copies of every main game's Suikoden game, even one that wasn't released over here. I own a Tactics spin-off, and as you count to help 3 times a week, I own Tierkreis. Recently I've also picked up the never translated Woven Web of 100 Years for PSP. I'd love to play that for you guys, but not being able to speak Japanese is kind of a hurdle. Over the history of the series, there have been many attempts to bring our world to life in the book form, be it Aki Shimizu's manga adaptation, which was released in the West by Tokyo Pop, or any other light novel or manga adaptations of the games that sadly have never seen the light of day in the West. One thing that has never happened, at least to my knowledge, is a fully fledged anime adaptation, and that's a crying shame. Especially when there's a tradition of adapting JRPGs into an anime series. Just look at the likes of Namco's Tales series, or the classic Arc the Lad adaptation. Technically an adaptation of a second game, but an adaptation is an adaptation, and I bloody love that series when I first saw it. The sad thing is, with Konami being like we are these days, we're struggling to even get the original 5 released on PS3. And so the idea of an anime adaptation is about as realistic as them luring Kojima back to work for them. But I'm here today to tell you that's not all is all lost. Whilst we won't be getting an actual Suikoden anime, we can have an anime that feels like a Suikoden anime. And one of my higher rated shows this season is exactly that. Record of Grancrest War. Now, a bit of history. Is an anime based on a light novel series of the same name, penned by the writer and game designer Ryo Mizuno. Before writing Grancrest War, Mizuno had written quite a few successful series, most of which appealed to me, but it wasn't until recently that I really started looking into why that was. I realised what it was. Heck, I watched a lot of this series, such as Rune Soldier and Starship Operators, without even realising they were by the same author. And I've only just gone back and read the original Record of Lodos War novel. Now that 7 Seas has released their beautiful hardback version in the West. And looking more into the history of Lodos War, it's clear that a lot of Mizuno's writing is based on a world and a set of rules. Rather than tell a story about those characters and fit the world around those characters, the characters are placed in a predefined world, and we see them work out how to progress in that world. It's a very game developer style of writing stories, all have an almost nostalgic feel to them. He harkens back to a world before authors relied on Deus Ex dual wielding or magical super tuny power-ups to save the day. For those that don't know, Record of Lodos War was originally not a novel, but was actually a replay of a Dungeons & Dragons tabletop RPG session, but was later rewritten to be the first story, The Grey Witch. It was this origin that gave the story its setting, where characters were just players playing along with the story as set out by their DM, Mizuno. Because of this, the fights and trials the characters face feel more realistic, more fluid, less open to unbelievable plot twists and stories written as stories. After moving on from Lodos War, Mizuno added more flesh to his four-alien world. We got Rune Soldier and Legend of Crystania, and many more spin-offs of the original Lodos War series. And that leads us to today, and the current airing series, based on his most recent light novel series, Record of Grancrest War. Now, unlike the previous series, Grancrest is set in a different world, but Mizuno's world building, his pedigree is back on display up front. With a set of rules the world follows, why there is conflict, and where the characters are how they are. It's this world and that characters we meet within it that consistently has me thinking back to Suikoden, and how the world feels like it has a Suikoden game within it. Just asking to be made. Not that we have to wait that long for a game set in Grancrest's world, as it appears there is one being produced for PS4, released in Japan later on this year. I doubt we'll get a Western release, sadly, but there's always hope. But just how does this relate to a Suikoden series? To really look into it, we need to look at what makes a Suikoden game a Suikoden game. And I've been thinking about it for quite some time actually, and whilst if you're being real pedantic, you could argue that it's not a real Suikoden game unless it has 108 characters. We can be a bit lenient if it doesn't exactly meet requirements, can't we? And that's exactly where we start. The cast. One of the defining features of a Suikoden game is that it has a whole lot of characters. And I'm not just talking about 108 stars either. You have the bad guys who often have quite a large cast list themselves, plus of course the grunts and general nobles you run into in towns and villages. Now whilst the cast list in Grancrest War is nowhere near that of Suikoden, you can easily see a strong core cast of characters. You can even start assigning them as stars of destiny. Our obvious Tenkai star would be Theo. Like those before him, he acts as a central lead to help gather those around him. Silica has all the hallmarks of being our Tene star, taking on the role of that of Gremio and Leon, and Marika from Suikoden's 1, 5 and Tier Crews respectively. We also meet potential other stars of destiny through Grancrest War. There's a combat butler, Irvin, the hot-headed blooded Valkyrie, Shelia. There's the bad guys that turn good, Lassik and Moreno. And beside the scenes we have a healer priestess, Priscilla, and moving into a more political stage, we move into looking at the leaders of the other groups, such as Villar and Alexis. Whilst we do have a long way to go to reach 108 stars, it's not unbelievable with a bit of fleshing out and a political upheaval where we talk and could get close. And whilst we talk about characters, there's also need to have massive conflict. Now, Suikoden games never really worry about what the reason is needed for a conflict, with war started by resistance to a tyrannical emperor, a nation invading a collected body of states, a tribal conflict, a naval incursion, and a military coup, and even a war of religious conversion. Grancrest's war hasn't been fully explained so far. We have two competing factions aiming to unite the land under their own crests, whilst fighting demons of chaos. Regardless, it's an epic conflict with most nations having to choose a side. There are giant battles over supremacy, there are defections, dodgy dealings, and democracy. We meet the leaders of the opposing faction, led by the beautiful and majestic Marine Krosh. They're trying to win the war by any means. The Code of Knights have thrown completely out the window in order to get her to achieve her goals. We know her motivations, but her methods aren't exactly great. She's a great villain. And this is indeed a war with consequences. Characters get injured and death is almost always possible in a world with these set rules. Early on this is threatened quite heavily as one of the major characters, Ashila, is almost killed in battle. And as the story progresses there are more and more opportunities for large conflicts, as Theo and Silica enter the service of the Earl of Artuk, Villar Constance. And this allows us a chance to meet many more of the different members of the nobility, whether we're part of a factory union or a fantasy alliance. Watch for the conference between the members of the union, maybe just picture a hilltop conference from Suikoden 2. Theo and Silica feel the roles played by Ryo and Nanami perfectly. It seems to fit a very similar role in both stories. Not only do we meet the main players and the good faction, whether or not they are good is yet to be determined, but we also learn this is not a single unified voice. For arguments and political backstabbing, exactly what you want from a Suikoden game. But rather an anime, and the world isn't just as simple as a bunch of humans going around killing each other as well. We have different races, from Katesith, the cat king familiar of Silica, to a tribe of Viking warriors who suddenly appear without much explanation in recent weeks. Grancrest War even has its own Necklord saga, as it visits a forest of eternal darkness where a conflict between the vampires and werewolves in Theo's territory gets out of hand, and ultimately results in him recruiting two powerful new allies to his cause, the cute twin daughters of a werewolf queen, Luna and Emma. One of the other things that makes Suikoden games unique is the magic. Now, whilst one could argue that it doesn't really need runes to be a Suikoden game, Tier Crews. Runes on Tier Crews, marks of stars, do play a major role in proceedings, and that's one thing Grancrest War does not have. What it does have, as the name suggests, is crests. The crests from Grancrest War are a magical seal to help suppress the chaos that threatens to take over the world. Lords are able to use their crests to gain powers, or to bestow powers onto others. They both look like, and act similar to how runes in the Suikoden universe work. When a Lord with a crest is defeated, they can either yield their crest to an attacker, which merges their crest into a stronger version, or again to be defeated by the attacker, ending with the same result anyway. The ultimate goal is to fuse all the crests into the Grand Crest, a crest powerful enough to wipe chaos from this land. It sounds all good, but will cause a conflict over who will gain the Grand Crest, since whoever gains it will be the lord over everyone else. Both factions think their leaders are the most qualified, and when you have two factions with different opinions, wars do often happen. So, is Record of Grancrest War the closest we're ever going to come to a Suikoden game being made into an anime? I'm not sure. It definitely does a lot of ticking the boxes when it comes to fulfilling the themes and nuances surrounding it. There are a few anime that also share some resemblance. Now, obvious examples would be Utawawa Rumino series, where people gather surrounding either Hakuo in the original or Haku in the sequel. It has the army building feel of the series, and quite a large worldview, but with more intricate mechanics and themes less so. The heroic legend of Arslan and 12 Kingdoms also have similar themes, with Arslan being more of a political war story surrounding a prince, and 12 Kingdoms being more stories around the creation of kingdoms. There are a lot of anime with similar themes, it seems. However, if you are hankering for some classic Suikoden themes, you could do very much worse than watch Grancrest War. So what do you think? Are there any more anime which could be another Suikoden series? Do you think we should ever get a Suikoden anime? Or do you think that adapting a game into an anime would kind of ruin the game? And are there any other anime which really fit the theme of Suikoden better than Grancrest War? Let me know in the comments. And stay tuned to my channel for future videos of an anime nature. Well, as ever, thank you guys very much for watching. Have a wonderful day. My name, as ever, is Fuds. Bye bye.